long as the music's not playing. Cool. So, guys, thank you so much for, if you just recently connected with us, make sure you like, sub, hit that noti bell. And Temo, come on up. He's going to be our preacher for the next month. I'll turn that on for you. Oh, thank you. Oh, yeah, you don't need it.
Ha ha ha. Okay, I'm on. Cool, cool. Anyways, everyone, God bless. How's everyone today? So, with that being said, Happy New Year for those who are not here with us. For those who are here, Happy New Year physically. Let me just get things all worked up, because I'll be honest, I was not prepared for the certain part of the recording. This is new for me, but I figured let's start off the year new. You know, that's the whole point of a new year. Yeah, but I figure I can say like this real time. It's funner that way. So anyways, regardless, I'm here in this moment because, like I said, it's my turn. It's my time to teach for this month. So you're going to see me for the next couple of Fridays until February. Then it'll be to the next person who gets the blessing, right? So with that being said, how's your guys' New Year so far? Sweet, sweet. I heard up great. Okay, maybe? Maybe starting off rough already? Maybe, like I said, we just haven't given enough time to start it up. It is 9 days already into the new year, I think? Yes, sir. All right, perfect. So anyways, you're probably asking me one thing. What is this up the stage? What am I bringing to the altar? And so, I'm bringing you your class, but I'm also giving you the next classmate for the next couple of weeks. That's a good answer. If I'm not bringing trains in my preaching, that's a very good question. You know what? It's funny because God uses whatever he wants to use, right? He uses anything that he wants to use, and we, as like teachers of Christ, are given the freedom to teach the way he wants us to teach. Processes, proverbs, like Jesus did. Mine is trades. You can't see it? Wait, can you see it or can you not see it? Yeah, you should turn on the light on. Yeah, I'm not going to do things in the dark, last time I checked. There we go, that's a little better. So this is going to be your next classmate for the next week until my turn is up, pretty much. As any other machinist, she's got a name. No, not Big Bertha, that's a boat name. Nope, you got more time. Yeah, one more. Make it count. Ooh, you're off by like a couple. Lucia. Nope. Oh. Close enough, actually. You're actually very close on the curve right there. Her name I gave her is Gracia. Oh, nice. See, you're off by like the L and the Lu. Gracia, grace. Honestly, because the reason why I call it that way is because she was a gift. She was a gift to me for a couple things. She was a gift to me as if I got her like for a very, very, very good deal. She's also a gift to me because God has shown me a lot of things through a train. Who'd have thunk? A model train out of all things. So, for those watching, for those not here on the spot, you're probably asking, how does a model train teach you at all? It doesn't. It's pretty much God that does the teaching. So now your next question is, how does God teach you through this model, this toy, this model that probably does nothing at the moment? Good question, which is why you're here, thank goodness. Anyways, so a couple things. It's funny because a lot of our worship actually played, earlier our worship played, and actually revolves into what I'm going to actually focus on this month actually. But before we do that, it's a testimony time. We're going to go back to our classmate right now. Our classmate was found in a train shop that I love to death. Always love going there. And so, pretty much, Gracia here was actually on a shelf. Not picked, surprisingly. Was just hanging there. Do we have a picture for reference? I can use that picture now. Just waiting for it to load. There we go. So funny thing about this one. So I saw her She's very beautiful. I saw the cost. Not too bad. Better than what it normally be up price. These things tend to be expensive. And so I remember one moment that I had reached out to my missus, or my missus to be, I should say. She pretty much advised me, kind of, because like I said, I'm in a financial thing. I don't want to have you spending. I was like, you got a point. And so I put God to the test. I asked God. I prayed on this, literally at that moment at the shop. Pretty silly, I know, right? There are more things to pray about, but why a model train? And so I pushed out that moment of faith, and I was like, Lord Almighty, this is ridiculous for me to ask. There's a lot of things I can pray for. Oh, haha, grace. I barely realized it. Anyways, there's a couple of things I asked God. I was like, God, if this is in your will, you do whatever you got to do. I'm not going to ask you how, because you have your ways and your methods. If you don't, then simple as that. Someone's probably going to walk in, buy it, and get out. And so it came to the moment when I asked the shop for this thing. And I asked them, okay, how much is this going to cost me? $175. But here's the thing. So it might not be working. I did put it on the track. It kind of does move, but we might have some issues. Okay. How much is it going to cost me then now? Well, since you shop here a lot, I'll give you a good deal. 103 out the door. And I was like, 103 does sound nice. But I did talk to the missus, and I did talk to someone else, that if there was going to be a will, there's a way, but if not, that's fine, no worries. I'll come back when I can save enough for it. The store owner goes to me and says, actually, you know what? I need to make space anyways. I'll drop it down. Drops it down to $75. Drops it down to $75. And he says, it might not work. I did test it. It kind of is jittery, but be aware what you're going to buy into. I was like, all right, you know what? If this is what the Lord wants, so be it. Who knows? Maybe the Lord has a use for it. Anyways, so I go home with this thing. Praise the Lord. He answered my prayers. And so I pretty much get to a point where I see it. I put it on my test stuff. It's jittering. It moves, but it's jittering. It's having some issues with connectivity, as they mentioned. On top of that, it's very old. It's from the 1980s, 90s, I think. Most people would just put it on their shelf, call it a day, try to do something with it, can't do it, give up on it, give it to someone else. That's it. But this was another opportunity that God had came into play with me. How? You're supposed to let me say that part. You guys don't hear it. I heard it loud and clear. But I have someone in the back there, older sister. Disassemble it, she says. And I said, alrighty, let's disassemble it. So pretty much, I had to go in the machine and break it down. Scary thing I know, I don't know anything about wires. But I did research on it at the same time. Opened the thing up. And I started working on it. You may go to the next slide if you don't mind. No, just a picture. Just a picture. We'll go to the video after that. That is pretty much what I was working with. It's unrecognizable what it is. You can't even tell that was a model train originally, because I have tore everything apart. I took everything apart. Every last screw, every last thing, I broke it down completely. I took out the old stuff that was useless to it. I took out the old wiring that held it back. And I replaced it with new wires. I replaced it with a new battery, a new computer chip, a new everything. I had to break something down to make it work properly and to work it better. So now you can go to the video. So this is what I had so far at that moment when I finally got some wires worked up. I said video. You didn't hear much, but that was sound. That was actually something working it to show that it was online. So not to get into the technicals because I don't want to take away from my class what the main purpose of my topic for this month is going to be. But pretty much what I did is I made it new. Like I said, gave it new wires, new cables. I made it modern. I made it to Bluetooth. I made it to be something that I could connect to my phone and pretty much make it work. After that, I assembled everything together again. And lo and behold, I'm going to show you the fine results of a fine example that God showed me at that time, finally. If I can get this loaded up. Yep. Normally I have my phone on me, but I made a promise I wouldn't use my phone today. Tablet. Anyways. So, with that being said, I finally was able to make it do like this. Just making sure for those people at home to hear it. Huh? What you say? Oh. Oh, I did. Other mic. I'll borrow this one. Yeah. Technical difficulties. Did I broke this darn thing? Oh, it's already like that. Okay, cool. I was worried I was gonna I was gonna take responsibility, but it didn't. It broke already. Okay, cool. Anyways, there we go. Okay, we're good. Thank you for me telling we'll have that worked up. Please, why it's up there. Anyways, there we go. Not sure if you guys can hear that. Of course, can make it move forward, make it move back. The funny thing about this is that I have a microphone, I keep forgetting. Anyways, so the funny thing about this, and I find this is the most interesting, is because what I came into in breaking it down and making it new was I enjoyed that time. There were times I was frustrated with it. There was times where I wanted to do a certain way with it, but I couldn't because, of course, it had a mind of its own, apparently. But I enjoyed making that time in which I was able to focus and give new life to something that a lot of people would already just pass to it. Maybe one person would have came up, done something with it, call it a day, that's it. But like I said, I gave it with a lot of love, a lot of attention that it needed. And that's how God is with us sometimes. Sometimes we don't know that we are like a condition like this where someone needs to come in and save us. Someone might come in, give advice, and after that, move on to the next part of life. But God is the only one that pretty much comes to our lives, looks at it, shows us ourselves what's wrong with us, and gives us a choice to either let us pretty much be fixed by Him or stay the way that we are. God already sees the value in us and the potential in us and enjoys it when He's building us in character over the years. Over the minutes, God is that incredible that He can literally just change someone within a minute or so. And just like this model train, throughout my time with Him, throughout my years with Him, throughout my walk with Him, He's able to change me up to be someone different that I wouldn't be, honest, without Him. He saw me for the value that I was, priceless, and went further beyond it. It made me more valuable than I realized I was. Just like this model train, because of all the things I did, I made it more valuable, made it more different, made it more better than what it was. And that's what God is in our lives. That's who He is in our lives. Throughout scriptures, we see fine examples that God pretty much tells us that we are like clay. We are like pottery being made by a potter. At the first moment, just a lump of something, being formed into something, being made, molded by it, made anew. Okay, Gracia, we get the point. God shapes us to wherever He wants us to be shaped into. And just like a potter, whenever something happens to us, we make a decision. We make a decision ourselves. We don't consult with Him. Something that leads us into a direction that's not with God, for example. When we do things like that, it's like how a potter pretty much is trying to make the clay. But because of conditions, maybe the clay is a little bit not enough made firm. Maybe too much water was added to it. Maybe even a slight wind knocked a little part of the pot that was being made. And what does God do with that? It's quite simple. Like any potter, starts anew, breaks it down while it's malleable. It's beautiful to think with God being compared as a potter and a clay, that pretty much we're always malleable, no matter how far we've been into the process. No matter even to the point where we're already made as whatever piece it was, something happens where we're chipped, broken, and God is able to build us up by making us anew with that. With God, there is no too lates. And that's the beautiful thing. There is no too lates with Him. Like I said, we're always malleable, even if we were like clay that just barely got started. Or even to the point where it's afterwards. We're already formed, and we fall off the table and we break. Like the potter, God is able to pretty much form us up into something better from that. Something further beyond than what we were already at that point. And that's what our topic is going to be for this especially month. Especially in January, the best opportunity to start anew that we couldn't start anew originally. And we can't start anew ourselves. We need God, 100%. We need God to help us form anew. Things that we wanted to fix up. Bad habits that we made over from the last year. Things that we were like, I kind of want to do that, but I'm not going to do that. Things that we don't consult with God, for example, when it comes to those big decisions that we want to do in our lives. And our growth with life itself, too. Our growth with life and God inside of it, especially. A lot of us have goals and dreams we want to do this year. A lot of us honestly don't know what we want to do at the same time this year. A lot of us plan, especially the bigger picture of a roadmap of what we're going to do exactly this month. Or maybe this year, maybe the next 2 months. And just like the other side of the spectrum, we're indecisive. We don't know what we got to do. We accept, okay, this is my normality. I should accept it that way. I'm going to go to school. I'm going to go to work. And I'm comfortable where I'm at. I don't want to go further into my workplace. I don't want to go further into my studies. I don't want to go further into anything I want to plan for this year. I think I'm okay where I'm at. And we get into that idea mentality. This is the moment where we honestly should think about where we're at right now. And things that we didn't do, not be discouraged by it, but rather ask God for the opportunity to help us push forward in what we want to do. In fact, this is the best time of opportunity of talking with each other. What is one goal we want to do this year? What's the one big goal we want to do this year? Especially with God included. And so I'm going to probably give the chance for everyone to say, this is going to be voluntary, to say what they want to do. What's the one big thing that you guys want to do this year? And I'll start from my example. This year, this time, this moment, I honestly want to pursue more into the voice acting and streaming side of things. I told myself every year that I was going to do it, and I kind of did, but I kind of stopped. But at the same time, I didn't consult with God all the way with how to get me forward, how to get me motivated. And so this year, I want to put that all in His hands. This year, I want Him to especially lead me and guide me about doing this, because I actually want to do that this year. This is actually my biggest goal this year, 100%. Now, do you have any other volunteers of big goals? Like I said, just one. What's one big goal you guys want to do this year? Don't go raising your hand all at once. Yes. What do you have a big goal this year? Well, I know you're going to do art, but you're going to have to say it so I could pretty much give a good example of that. Build up art skills. Fantastic. That's one big goal for you to do this year. Anybody else have one big goal in mind? Ashley. Flower business to grow, expand more. Fantastic. Anybody else? Perfect. Dennis. Huh? Oh, crochet more. Okay, that's a very good goal, especially this year. And see, that's the beauty about our goals. They're goals that pretty much help us grow. Just like a garden. But how can we make it grow without giving it a good planter that can actually help us grow with that being said? Gardens and everything else need someone to take care, need someone to guide plants in growing, good soil, good nutrients, things to combat against when pests come in to invade the garden kind of thing. And God is like a great gardener too, because He could see 100% overview of what's up. To see, hey, this is growing a little bit of fungus. Let me see if I can get something to treat it. Or this bush is growing great, but I'm seeing there's a lot of like these darn caterpillars that keep growing every single time. Or my tree just died. We can't see where we're at because we're at ground level. We are pretty much like literally in the moment, in the plane of existence. But God goes beyond it. He sees everything for us. And He knows what to do to take care of the situation. Which is another part of the clay process. Another part in letting God take control of what we want to do and sculpt how we do it this year. We have to put trust into it. We have to put trust in Him. We have to put in faith in Him, even when it doesn't make sense, even when we can't see it visibly at the moment, even when it contradicts to what everything exists society-wise, or anything that research has shown us scientifically-wise that doesn't make sense or cannot exist. Sometimes we have to defy against that, because God is the one that breaks those rules. We've seen it in our testimonies. We've seen it through our brothers and sisters about God doing things that are the impossible, for example, for us. That does things for the impossible. In fact, I'll give you one more testimony, and then I'll wrap things up. So pretty much I had a trip that I went recently over like December. I was already low on the budget, and I was worried that I was not going to be able to pay for, especially the return trip especially. And so I remember I talked to my missus about seeing if she can help me pay for some stuff. And then when I got paid, I was going to pay her back. But then at the same time, I consulted God. I was like, well, you let us go on the trip so far when I asked you about it. And you let us experience a thrill with me and my friends. I know you want us to come back. And so, if you have something to help us out, please help us out. And so, later that same day, something came up to my head. I don't know why. And I told my missus, I told her, I was like, you know what? No, never mind. I think I should be able to pay for the cost for returning. And so I went with what God had told me. The financials didn't make sense because technically if I would have paid for the gas, I would have paid over the amount and I would have been in the negative at that point. I was supposed to be negative 72 because of paying for gas. California gas is so ridiculously expensive. But you know the thing is, somehow, some way, at the moment I thought, money just appeared out of nowhere. Money appeared out of nowhere in my checking. And I don't know where. I looked into the stubs, I looked into the statements, I looked for any refunds, I looked to see if maybe the bank made it wrong. Everything was right, didn't make sense. And so at that moment, I realized that God had me covered. He had me covered more than I realized. You know the best thing about it, I was talking to my missus about it at the same time too. God had given me $123 back somehow. So I was left even more in the positive than I was supposed to be in the negative. We can stand here, talk about it all day, of maybe there was a technical glitch, maybe the bank gave me a refund for something I may have asked. Maybe the bank gave me some money they weren't supposed to give and they were supposed to give back to me, kind of thing. But one thing was undeniably true. God had made the impossible happen in that day. Amen. God had made the impossible beyond and blessed me with extra. Blessed me with extra that I didn't even deserve. It's a living testimony of putting that trust into Him and putting that faith into Him, despite of the things that don't make sense, the things that defy the logic, especially. And to wrap things up, like I said, we're going to focus more on how to let God build us up from the ground. Whether we are new into the faith, whether we are far into our faith walking with God, maybe not even there, maybe not even into the faith ourselves already. At this very moment, I want to dedicate a little time. I want to dedicate a little time for us to talk to God. To, in a moment, just bow our heads and just think and reflect and recollect on how God can take us into that next level and how God can build us up, especially for this year. This year has a new chance of obstacles. This year has a new chance for potential. This year has opportunity for good and bad things to happen in our lives. What matters most is by letting God mold us and guide us the way. And so, God, can you give me a way, because we're doing this recording thing. Yeah, because, I mean, we can pray real quick, but at the same time, I want the recent worship song that we had. But at the same time, yeah, how do we do this part? Okay. So we'll start praying and we'll go reflect from there. So everyone. But for the meantime, for those who are watching, at this moment, like I said, if you, are into the faith, new, long, or not even there at all, this is your opportunity where we can just pretty much think about it, reflect it. And so we bow down our heads and say, thank you, Lord Almighty, for this